How's it going, guys? Malagant here. We will talk about the Falconer Day 3 recap, basically, and I'll show you like my passives, what has changed as I level, what my thought process is for the most part, and what I could see changing in the future as well. But for the most part, almost everything seems to be settled, to be honest with you. Now I'm going to be basically like focusing on getting better gear and idols. There's quite a bit of like optimization that you can do on this character, and opposed to like my paladins so far, to be honest with you. To see like massive changes in the numbers, because the numbers are very high, and at the same time they do scale from like crit multi. So the more crit multi you have, the more numbers that you're going to be seeing. It I think it's possible to see like 1,000,000 damage on this guy. I'm capable of like seeing versus peasants about like 500 600,000 crits. However, I must mention that like I'm playing on hardcore, and there are certain decisions that like I need to make that in softcore you could actually like never mind, and you could definitely stack crazy amounts more damage on a character like this one. It's crystal clear to me, definitely. So for instance, I can give an example. Right over here, I'm choosing to go for the old resistance node, even though crit avoidance is giving me crit multiplier, and it's possible to go for the crit avoidance over here too. On my idols, for instance, I'm going to be choosing at the very least to go for like full HP ones, right? There stuff that are like giving you just back-to-back HP. Let me see. Like these ones. So double HP node idols, the stout idols. And I'll try to like fit as many as possible. The reason behind this is, again, because of this node right over here, the Outlander's Tenacity. It is absolutely insane in my opinion. The maximum health gained as endurance threshold at 15%. So if you go to like 3000 life, then that's going to be 450 threshold out of nowhere. And you can just gain that much threshold, and it would be enough for you to like survive an insane hit. The endurance in this game, how it works is that, well, right now it's behind my camera, but we can maybe go over here. Yeah. So from over here, you could learn pretty much like anything about endurance. But what it does is, in fact, like it manages to calculate even if you're like above the threshold. So you always get some value, or all value, let's say, from your endurance defensive layer. Even if you're not necessarily within the threshold. So most of the games would implement it so that like my threshold is right now 868, which is quite high, mind you. So 868, like if you were 868 HP remaining, then comes another layer of defense. But in this game, how it works is that like even if you're like 2000 HP and something is just like slamming you for 2500 damage, let's say, you will still not die, because it will see that like, you're taking damage that is capable of like going below the threshold of your endurance threshold. And what it will do is that like it will first, just lower the damage with your normal defenses, and then it will get you to your threshold, and then it will do a recalculation from that moment with the remaining damage and see if you're gonna die this time. So it's very interesting, and the endurance is, in my opinion, while it is not crazy good for the paladin, because I didn't necessarily have the means to like increase the endurance threshold easily as this one, I did survive because of endurance one time on my paladin. I'm 100% sure. But on my rogue, it is absolutely insane. I can tell you this. Just because of that, I just want to stack HP so that like I gain as much threshold as possible. And I want to put my endurance to 60% so that like when I'm taking a big hit or consecutive hits and it's going to be coming down to my threshold, it will calculate basically another layer of defense, let's say, another layer of damage reduction. And since it's like another damage reduction percentage calculation on top of the damage reduction calculations that I have, it's just going to be like a ridiculous amount. So after all that talking, we'll talk a little bit more about the defensive layers. Let me just like show you the character tiny little bit at the very least. We can run something stupid over here. Hopefully it's not going to have like very bad monster density, because the character actually is really fun to play versus masses. I can easily tell you that. It is really fun to play. It's incredibly mobile character. It is very spammy. You end up like using a lot of buttons. Oh, a despair. Very nice. Thank you. And it is very strong too. Like at times, as I said, like if you play it right, you're going to be seeing extreme numbers. And on top of that, there was a 360k, I think, over there, even though it's relatively quick, maybe it was 36,000, I'm not sure. I'll need to watch it again. But Yeah, it is very, very strong. Like, it's very satisfying to play as well. This is entirely different than like what I was doing on my paladins, definitely. So it is. I suppose this is also why it is like flavor of the month type of a character. It definitely is. I don't necessarily like to talk about like, okay, this is overpowered, that it's imbalanced. This one requires like buffs and stuff. Like I don't really do content around that type of approach at all, because like at the end of the day, that's kind of like developers' job. Uh, I see it like a challenge basically to make like a good paladin, and I try to like do my best. With the spinning paladin, I utterly failed, and with the judgment paladin, I think it turned out to be a very successful starter for me. And I'm, according to the feedback to some receiving on the YouTube comments and from the people on the stream, anyone almost that tried the judgment paladin with my build, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So like I like that a lot, yeah. Falconer drop. Very nice. I think that's like a helm or something. Sometimes you can actually like completely delete mages. That is very interesting too. I think I overpulled a little bit over here, but yeah, he got deleted anyways. These experimental mages are like exiles, I think they're called. They're ridiculous. How they died. Dreamthorn LP1. I wish it was an LP2. I'm actually looking forward to making some sort of like a Void Knight as well, since like I'm completely in love with Sentinel. So I wouldn't be surprised if my next character that I will level is going to be yet another Sentinel to jump into a Void Knight. But yeah, that's for something else. I'll definitely try my best to like get this to not only 100, but also like push a little bit of corruption, because I am pretty sure it's capable of pushing quite the corruption, and it will be. And I'll try to like basically smoothen the build as well a little bit, because like there are definitely some openings or like stuff that I can like capitalize, I think, that I am not capitalizing. So we were talking about defenses before this echo run. Let's finalize the defensive talk. The only reason I'm not, increasing the corruption right now is simply because I do believe that like my defenses are weak, and every single step that I take towards the right direction is making me crazy more defensive. Okay, so like even 2% more dodge and let's say 4% more armor is going to be making a big difference for the character. That's all my point is going to be here. What sort of like upgrades can I find? I can definitely find, even though these are like very good gloves, I can definitely find so much better gloves than this, because it's going to be giving me a base that is like heavier armor than this, and it's going to be giving a base that also, makes my armor mitigate damage over time, and I'm very scared of damage over time with this character right now. I'm trying to gain a little bit of like Crimson Shrouds, which is reducing the damage over time that you take, but I don't think it's going well. So my belt is not that great. I would like to gain my endurance some other means, and then afterwards I would like to change my belt into a armor belt as well, so that like basically changing those two, I should be sitting about like 40% armor hopefully, and that's going to be my goal. I would like to get to like 50% armor so that like I don't get deleted, but I think it's not going to be possible with this character. We'll see how it goes. I might need to like roll some stuff, but simply because of how I talked about endurance, I really want to min-max the amount of like health I receive. And on almost all of my bis items or like end game items, I kind of want to like try and roll this basically, like health, hybrid health, percentage health. I just want to maximize the amount of health that we can sit with, and I want to get to like close to 4,000 health. It should be possible if I can basically fix my resistances so that like all of these items are just there to give me just health, nothing else. So that's what I will try to do. I don't necessarily know like for how long I'm going to be using woven flesh, but it's very aggressive. So I will probably end up like trying to maybe farm a LP3 woven flesh, maybe like 10 times, 15 times, and see like how it goes. If it doesn't drop, it's fine. It's whatever, right? So my itemization is like this. I have this relic over here, which is giving me aerial assault +3, which is putting aerial assault to 28. I also have 27 points into my falconry, obviously thanks to my weapon. And then I have been farming for a better Talons of Valor. Most of the time, even if I find an LP2, which I've found multiple times, the +4s are not there. It's capable of rolling from 1 to 4 for each single ability. So it has been pretty difficult to find a great one. So I've been stuck with this one that is like a terrible blind to hits, but it is what it is, right? It's at least giving me +4 to 3 different abilities. It's incredible value in that sense. I'm still using my dive bomb for like a armor shredding, vulnerability applying and physical res shredding ability. However, I might go ahead and try some sort of like a more offensive dive bomb at some point. We'll see. Definitely. Like what I tried is like exsanguinating strike, okay? So we are capable of like putting insane amounts of bleeds now, guys. That is like the main difference from yesterday's recap. What I changed is that with my nets, I have started using smoke bombs. So with just pressing nets now, my character is also smoke bomb him. So this was really good because like it's obviously saving me one more cast that I need to think about constantly, and I'm always like spamming nets, right? And when my net is actually hitting something, guys, now it is in fact putting a caltrop at that location as well. So, but it needs to hit. So it needs to like latch onto something, and there will be caltrops. How caltrops works in this game, so far I could tell, is that like it is like this like hidden ability that you can gain as like a side ability from different things, such as like nets, and you can gain it from aerial assault as well, right over there. There are more things actually, like even on the passive right over there are chance to throw caltrops on dodge. You could max this out and you can empower. So all of these things are kind of like synergizing and improving this like hidden ability called caltrops at the back. So I've been messing around with this a little bit. I don't really gain so much offensive ability from this. It doesn't really like go ahead and like hits a crazy amounts of damage. What it does, however, is that like it constantly crits because of this node right over here. For slow chance, it converts to base crits for caltrops. And aerial assaults caltrops is capable of giving you 200% slow chance, right? And then again, the nets caltrops is giving you area for the caltrops, and this increases the area of all of the caltrops. And then it's coming back to here, it's going to be putting a bunch of bleeds, 200% for caltrop each. And for big units, this actually like multiplies, it goes out of hand. Even though I'm not playing a bleed build here, I've seen like 300 stacks of bleeds. So it should definitely be worthy, right? It should like it's kind of insane. So I didn't necessarily dip my toes into like the bleed territory yet, or I didn't really like scale it. The only thing that is scaling when it comes to bleed and my build is simply just physical damage. Like I do gain all of my tags are physical, so I do gain something from like going for physical damage. So if I will have the chance, I'm actually going to be rolling physical damage, perhaps even over minion damage for the most part. We'll see. I could definitely look into that. But apart from that, I didn't really like go out of my way to like scale bleed at all, or I didn't test anything. But I can tell you, if you're into like theory crafting, there's some like insane bleed potential just by the caltrops being there. I think you can stack up a ridiculous amounts of bleed stack on the mob in no time. And I want to say it is working because, as I said, it's working because of like, it's not necessarily calculating like an entire area putting one debuff. It's calculating per caltrop maybe, and versus bosses, just the bleed stacks goes out of out of proportion. It's just insane. Yeah, yesterday I was fighting the dragon, it was like 300 bleed stacks out of nowhere, and I'm not playing a bleed build, So that's why I have went into the caltrops. I'm messing around with those a little bit. There's this node over here, says like exsanguinating strike. It says like hit damage per bleed and then also max damage bonus, but it kind of like caps out also. So it's like 30% max damage bonus, but it also like converts the entire bleed instantly to deal instant damage. I tried this a little bit. It didn't really feel like it was doing great. I might try it out again, but it was kind of like shaky, I must say. So how the character plays is there's something called aerial prowess, which is giving us stacks, okay? So it is very important for us to understand how do we gain these stacks. we gain these stacks by not critting with our aerial prowess, or we gain them by dodging while we are traveling with the aerial assault, or we gain them by killing enemies with the aerial assaults. These are like the three different conditions that we gain these stacks from. So the most important, like just from, you know, considering all those conditions, what is like the most important thing to do to gain these stacks? You basically need to jump into a pack of monsters that are peasants, like low HP monsters. You jump into them and they're going to be getting deleted. And after this, hopefully, since you hit like a massive pack, some of them are going to die, giving you some stacks. Some of them are going to be hit, maybe not dead, but perhaps you didn't crit them, so you will be gaining even more stacks. Now with those stacks, you want to spend your stacks, right? So it's kind of important, like, you decide how to spend your stacks, because they will be depleted instantly. You have basically two ways to spend your stacks. It's important to understand this as well. One of them is, you know, jumping again, and it's going to be buffing your next damage exponentially. It will be ridiculous amounts of damage from aerial assault, even though we are not going for damage nodes here. Like this node, the Avian Hunter, and the projectile training, they're both incredible damage nodes, and I didn't go for them. So it will still hit for like 20k or something by just spending a good portion of the stacks by just jumping again. Or you could choose to dive bomb. Dive bomb, thanks to this node over here, the Terror Wings, is capable of using the stacks and consuming all of them and gaining the same amount of damage that this guy would have gained. And you can hit all the way up to, as I said, like easily 1 million. If you just focus, just this, crit avoidance. Go crit avoidance everywhere, fix your resistances from idols. Go crit avoidance from over here, and go crit avoidance from over here. Why am I not doing this? Simply because I'm in hardcore. I have issues with like basically fixing my resistances while trying to maximize my health. We already talked about this for this guy, basically. So I just want to like min-max my defenses right now and then see how I am doing. The character is already incredibly offensive. But thanks to, you know, spending these stacks, gain the maximum amount of stacks by jumping into a big pack, and then dive bomb anything that you want to kill instantly, they will die instantly. That is how the character works, basically. Dive bomb, gaining stacks from the aerial. Falconry is extremely good to screen clear. So when you see like lots of scattered stuff, Falconry is ridiculous. The Falcon strikes, right? And on top of that, it's incredibly good at killing bosses as well. The kill threshold of 16%, this is absolutely insane. Try to keep your Falcon strikes, you know, up, let's say, around like 25%, you know, fourth of the HP remaining on a boss, and use it then so that like you will immediately kill the boss as it reaches 16% and your Falcon is still executing the Falcon strikes. Remember that like we're gaining a ridiculous amounts of defenses from Smoke Bomb, and Smoke Bomb is constantly going to be up when you use nets. It has almost full uptime if you can stack some cooldown reduction. I don't really have full uptime at all right now, but we are going to be talking about, you know, defensive layers right now once again in this video. So if you're just watching this video, you will be up to date with that one too. But Smoke Bomb is not really necessary for you to survive. You know, it doesn't need to be up at all times. Let's talk about, you know, except like our armor and dodge, like these are not really reliable values. I only have like 20% dodge. You know, when I jump around, it's going to be higher, of course, but only for a split second. My armor is definitely quite low for an empowered, you know, echo run. So what is it that is like keeping me alive then? So as a rogue, first things first, you need to keep on running, guys, okay? Because like there are two defensive layers that we have as a Falconer that is giving us damage reduction. In this game, every single character, mastery, sometimes just a class, sometimes the entire mastery is like speccing towards a damage reduction that is kind of unique to them, while also utilizing these like armor, resistance, and endurance availability, or maybe block even, yeah. But so rogue is this thing that's called basically evasion over here, damage taken while moving. We're literally taking less damage while moving from any source. It's not necessarily like any condition at all. Just keep on moving and you'll be taking less damage. Very, very interesting. So some mechanic that you're failing at, if you're going through a telegraph, just because you were running, you will survive it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you would have died, kind of thing. The other thing is the tailwind. It's exactly it in on top of this. And if my Falcon has a recent hit, and recent is 4 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, basically doubling this. So it is minus 12% while moving again. So just by moving, now it's 20 and 12 back to back. Apart from that, as we discussed, the endurance and the threshold being increased according to how much HP you have, and HP is a direct defensive layer anyways, so it's like double dipping this type of like thing, and you're going to be, you know, having some sort of like a backline defense that you could fall back to, as endurance is there going to, it's always going to be there. Yeah. So on top of all of this, we have the shrouds and we have the glance. I'm not going to talk about shrouds so much, but the glance is crazy important. We have this glancing blow over here, 15%. Simply put, glance is like basically a hit effect. You have a chance to basically just diminish a hit effect on you. And this glancing blow is the chance to glancing blow is how much chance do you have, basically. So 15% is coming from here. And then we're going to have 5% coming from here. I do believe this node is bugged. It doesn't really convert all of my block chance, even though it says it does. As you can see, it's saying like 8% block chance still. And my glance over here will say 92%. I have block chance coming from here. If I take these off, it will still say 92%. So I do believe that this node is bugged and it doesn't really convert your block chance into glancing blow chance. However, the 5% glancing blow chance that is coming from here is still required for my build. I really need to spend the 5 points over here still, because of this guy right over here. This is giving me 10% chance to blow, you know, glancing blow. And it also says double glancing blow chance if not hits. So if I haven't been hit recently, which is usually the case, right, versus a boss and stuff, you're like running around, you don't want to be hit at all, almost, you will have the double glance. What this gives you is basically you will have almost 100% chance to glance. Right now it is like that. So I want to definitely reach 100%. And the first hit that I'm going to take, if it's like a massive hit or whatever, I'll 100% be reducing that hit by glancing blow, which is going to be reduced by 35%, yet another defensive layer. So if I'm moving, that's already like 32 minus, and then if I glance that, that's another 35 minus. Then I have crazy amounts of HP. Obviously it will go through the, you know, corresponding resistance and armor as well. Do I do still get to dodge some of these things, and on top of all of that, then will come my endurance if it manages to reduce my HP to a certain point. And that will be yet another 60% damage reduction thanks to how the endurance works. That is the all defensive layers that we have on top of the shrouds. Shrouds are basically either we have the Crimson Shroud right over here, which is like reducing the amount of damage over time that I take. And then we also have the Dusk Shroud, which is giving me a little bit more glancing chance. And then we also have the Silver Shroud. And Silver Shroud is basically giving the next hit that I would have taken 100% chance to dodge. Now, if you think about it, there's some sort of like a synergy here right again. Because like I was already glancing the first hit that I was going to take, but now I'm dodging it anyways. So it will be like what you want to do is basically you want to be dodging stuff so that like Silver Shroud will, you know, save you with one dodge, a guaranteed dodge. And then afterwards, your glance will be basically, you know, worst comes to worst, your glance will be, you know, soaking 1 damage, and then Silver Shroud must be back up again. And this is the reason why cooldown reduction is crazy important, because Smoke Bomb is a very reliable source of dodging the next hit by every time. And Smoke Bomb is always up as long as I spam the nets. All I have to do is just spam the nets. So this is basically like how it is going with the defensive layers. And as I said, just because of like how high I have so many layers combined, right? Even a tiny little bit of upgrade to everything is making a big impact on my defenses. That's how I have been feeling with this character. it's been much more difficult to scale all this compared to a Sentinel. But this character comes with the offense. It comes with basically the speedy type of like playstyle, and it comes with this unique gameplay, I suppose, with the Falcon. So while Sentinel was coming with like a much easier way to like scale your defenses, just because like your armor comes with a ridiculous amounts of 700 armor, I think, just the base, right? And it just mitigates just like that. But it was hard for me to scale my damage. I had to just like min-max everything, and I was still seeing like 20k, 30k numbers. And this one I'm talking about millions. Like you will be able to see a million damage if you play it right, if you build it the way that you should, or you know, or for softcore, let's say. So this is going to be it. I know this video has been long. Let's cut it over here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below in the comment section. And as I said at the start of the video, the build link is going to be in the description of the video. And if you would like to see more, please subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna see you next time. Peace out, YouTube. Thanks for watching.